it's Adrian. In 2021, my brother and I decided to embark on the perilous quest of making a video game, and after a few years of bouncing back and forth between various ideas and iterations, we finally recently honed in on a direction that we're really excited about. If you don't know, we're making a 2D action-adventure game called Ozudo, and it's sort of a cross between Celeste, Hollow Knight, and the Legend of Zelda games from the 90s and early 2000s. We set a soft goal a few months back to get a demo of Ozudo up on Steam by the fall, and though we've been making a lot of headway, a recent development has completely shifted my perspective on our goal and how urgent it actually is. To come right out with it, I'm going to be a father for the first time in November. Yay! I did it! I procreated! And this exciting and occasionally terrifying news has made me realize that we've seriously got to pick up the pace on this demo, or else our game may end up sitting in limbo for who knows how long while I do the whole sleep-deprived dad thing. Honestly, this also kind of changes the entire context of the demo for me, because up until now, I kind of viewed this game as sort of a shot in the dark. An extremely difficult, immensely time-consuming shot in the dark. But now with my dad responsibilities rapidly approaching, I feel like this demo has a lot more riding on it. If it does well and there's genuine interest in our game, then I'll definitely see the value in juggling game development, a day job, and fatherhood. But if nobody's interested in the demo, then who knows? I may just want to devote my soon-to-be limited time elsewhere. Perhaps I'd start another game or do something else entirely. I'm not sure. What I do know is that this demo is going to give me a lot of answers, one way or another, and I'm really excited to have that clarity, no matter how things turn out. I'm also just stoked to have something on Steam that people can play. The goal for me on this game dev journey has always been to immerse people in a world that I created and to make them feel how I feel when I play my favorite video games. So yeah, a demo on Steam would definitely accomplish that goal, and it'd also be nice if people actually played it. So with this newfound sense of urgency and motivation, my brother, our studio director, and I rolled up our sleeves and started checking major tasks off our never-ending checklist. The first thing I set out to do was finally finish building all the levels/areas for the entire demo, which was a big task since the demo is basically going to consist of about 25% of our entire 10-hour game. Now, I know it's a bit unorthodox to put 25% of your game up as a free demo on Steam, but Ozudo's game loop basically mimics the classic Legend of Zelda games of the 90s and early 2000s, where you explore an overworld before entering and completing a dungeon. So in order for players to fully understand the identity of the game, I think it's important that they experience Ozudo's entire game loop. Yeah, Chris Sikowski, I know, I'm doing everything wrong. Anyway, the tedious task of building all of the areas for Ozudo's demo actually went pretty quick thanks to my obsessively detailed concept art. Once again, I can't stress how helpful it is to pre-conceptualize the world and level design of your game before you actually build it. There were a few times where I strayed from my original designs, which is to be expected when you're building and testing your game, and though that had the potential to significantly slow me down, I found that if I quickly sketched out the new level designs on paper, then I could iterate a lot faster and speed up the process. I'm old school, what can I say? While I was finishing building all the areas for our demo, my brother quickly knocked out the dialogue system, which may not seem like that big of a deal, but I flipped out when I first experienced it. I had written a lot of the story and dialogue for Ozudo over a year ago and honestly forgot most of what I had written. So when I was finally able to actually interact with some of our NPCs and get a sense of their personality, I got so freaking giddy. I love bringing worlds to life. Speaking of bringing worlds to life, the biggest change, which those of you who watched the first devlog probably already noticed, is that we finally started implementing art into our game. Woohoo! I know, took us long enough. Now, this process was a little tricky for us, which is probably one of the reasons why we procrastinated so much. The first problem we had when it came to implementing the art was that up until recently, we'd been using an orthographic camera for Ozudo, which basically required us to manually simulate all of the parallaxing, which was a pain in the keister. Thankfully, though it did cause some hiccups, my brother was able to make the switch to a perspective camera, which made the process of inserting background and foreground art much easier and more natural. So once we had the new camera in place, it was time for my brother to actually start painting out the art assets. We intentionally shied away from details and textures with our art and went for a more minimalist approach utilizing gradients and values. My brother and I have always been sensitive to visual overstimulation in video games, so we looked to minimalistic games like Limbo and Inside for inspiration. Lastly, my brother set up a very comprehensive spreadsheet of exactly how he wanted the layers of art to be arranged in each scene. Because we're using only gradients and values, the layering and placement of the art assets is a very delicate matter. Assets can either bleed into each other and get lost, or the scene can quickly end up getting way too busy. So, my brother and I have to go into each scene and meticulously place the art assets by hand. This step can get a bit tedious, but it's super rewarding when a scene's completed. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. The entire demo is built and playable, and we're now implementing art, dialogue, UI, and some other things that'll probably take forever. Hopefully not. As I said, I've got till November. Then it's baby time. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in following along with us on our mad dash to get Ozudo's demo up by the end of the year, please subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions or thoughts on Ozudo, I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment. See you next month, guys.